If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see?
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is the best new appreciated work of the English children's literature, published for the first time in 1865 and written by an English author, Lewis Carroll. The book has a sequel called Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, that in the theatre and the film adaptations is often combined with the first novel. According to tradition, the story was invented during a boat trip with another religious and 3 children, the little sister. Alice will be the inspiration for the main character of the story. A 7-year-old girl is in the backyard with her sister, reading a book without illustrations or nursery rhymes. Alice is bored, and so her attention is drawn to a white rabbit running breathless, muttering to himself. She decides to follow him, and the rabbit leads her through a wall that is an entrance to a fantastic world. Alice falls into a deep hole into the center of the earth. Once landed, follow the rabbit through a tunnel. At whose end is a room full of doors of various sizes, all closed. On the only table in the room is a key, but only open a tiny door, through which the child cannot pass. However, the board is now also a bottle, and attached to it an unmistakable message: "Drink me." Alice then drinks and suddenly becomes teeny. Here she discovers that eating or drinking certain things can change its size. Thus, she manages to escape from the house and meet a caterpillar smoking a hookah in the cap of mushroom. It is the hookah smoking caterpillar that, arguing with Alice of the transformation which a body undergoes, and explains that eating different parts of the fungus can grow or shrink at will. Alice took it towards the home of the hare, who is intent on taking tea with the Mad Hatter. The situation is really crazy because the clock showed the time geyser, so because of the breath of the time against the actor. Alice, tired of the antics and riddles, decides to leave the company and thus arrives at the door. Alice enters, and this is the first room full of doors, finally able to open the door and pass. From this passage, Alice arrives at the castle of the Queen of Hearts. She was welcomed by a large garden. There are gardeners that, instead of the body, have a spade card, and who paint the roses. In fact, in the royal garden were planted white roses, while the queen wanted red roses. The soldiers, to escape the beheading, then repaint one by one. Before they finished the jobs, came the queen with his entourage. Alice turns out that every seed of a standard deck of cards designating a role at court. Discovering the deception, the queen goes on a rampage and, as it is wont to do for the last trifle that irritated, orders that the culprits are beheaded. Thus began, at the behest of the queen, a serial game of croquet in which the balls are replaced by porcupines, bats are replaced by flamingos, and door by playing cards in the wake of the queen. Together with Griffon, Alice moves away to attend the trial of the Knave of Hearts, guilty of having embezzled some pastries. Among the witnesses are called the Mad Hatter and Alice herself, but in the meantime is returning to its normal size. When she gets up to testify, she sweeps the table of the jury. Looking around, she discovers that king, queen, and infantry soldier are nothing more than ordinary playing cards. Alice wakes up in the garden next to her sister, which tells the adventure in a dream. There is a clear will to take down all the limitations imposed by the real world, an institution invented by man of which he himself became a slave. time. Once again, the dream is the escape route that allows you to make space for creativity and needs of freedom of the unconscious. In reality, a dream lasts a few seconds, but when you wake up, it always seems that lasted several hours. The inability to enforce the law which had hit her to regulate it and market Alice's life makes her feel totally alienated and without reference point. In the land of the only existing real wonders is not any. Alice so felt therefore in constant contradiction and confusion. Over the years, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland has inspired many films. In the early years of the 20th century, the cinema was still in its infancy, and there were many problems in representing the main oddities of Wonderland. The film is still studied for its use of special effects. We cannot make a true comparison between Carroll's book and the adaptation that I have chosen to analyze, which is the film Alice in Wonderland, directed by Tim Burton, because it is a kind of sequel, but we can study its silent features. The main characters retain nearly all original features. Each of them represents, in Carroll's book, a real person, or at least a social figure, or transposition of 19th century nursery rhyme. If we define the book as a journey of childhood, the Burton film is a journey that we must necessarily expect grow to dull wit. Alice, in fact, in the film, we find 19 years old, but still with the spirit of curious little girl, ready to follow the White Rabbit. In her journey is not only strange characters with whom to talk, but real dangers to be faced. In fact, she has a mission to save Underland, a wonderland country. Alice will agree to do it, but it also provides a journey through itself, addressing the pain, discovering the meaning of love, and accepting its duties and responsibilities. All narrated by Burton in his Gothic style, with a wistful look toward a world free of worries, such as childhood, but with the new message that growing up presents the positive aspects. We can guess that one of the main themes of Alice in Wonderland is the conflicting relationship between childhood and adult age. Falling in the imaginary world of the White Rabbit and the Queen of Hearts, Alice is confronted with a situation in which the rules and regulations of the normal world are actually upside down and distorted.